欢迎进入练习场 Join to Enjoy， 松开一切，整合自我，这里是你的练习场。欢迎来到练习场 Join to Enjoy。 你知道吗？不用做任何的测试，你只要发出声音，其实就展现了你这个人现在的人生状态。所以有些人会说，声音跟身体的展现就代表某种程度你人生现在身心状态的总和。今天我们邀请到声音瑜伽老师马克老师。
Hello, everybody.
对，虽然我们来邀请他是声音瑜伽这个课程，但是呢，其实老师的这个生涯跟他的所学非常的广泛。然后他在表演艺术方面有博士，然后到民族音乐学有学到硕士，然后所以他整体是对艺术、科学还有传统音乐有非常非常深的研究，所以他整体在剧场、音乐、舞蹈制作等领域都非常非常的广泛。非常荣幸我们今天有机会可以邀请到马克老师。听说他还有跟马友友有合作过音乐上面的一些作品，然后甚至有在荷兰女皇面前表演过。我们练习场这次达到一个新的巅峰，竟然可以邀请到马克老师来为我们做一些关于声音跟身体的分享。我记得我在看老师的官网的时候，其实我有看到一个字叫做 Fuzika， 是老师的自创的一个融合的字。然后关于这个名词，想要说请老师来先分享一下，为什么当初会创这个字。
Yes, Fuzika is something that I really realized as a teenager, that I'm interested in music, and my brain is more suitable for language, but I always also wanted to learn like physics, that kind of thing, math. I'm not really good at that, but I've always been looking to combine them together. That started already at school, and then when I kind of became an independent artist, I came up with this name Fuzika, which there's physics inside, and a Latin for musica. It's like Latin is musica, and in Greek it's physike. So it's this combination, art and science, or also ratio and feeling.
刚才听完老师讲 Fuzika 这个字，就会想到这种古希腊哲学家，那个时代可能他们学的东西都是非常多面向，然后自己可以融合成一件事情。今天就会非常期待老师来帮我们分享一些各式各样领域的研究，然后看怎么样可以带到我们的生活当中。好，那所以首先想要先聊聊老师为什么会想要开始一个声音的探索。因为我在网站上看到你说你是一个 Sound Explorer， 声音探索家，其实你融合了非常多东西。那这个部分想请老师聊，是有一些特殊的经验让你想要开始研究声音吗？
As a teenager, I realized that music contains something that is very special to me, a special message, and I realized it's something I just don't only want to enjoy, like most teenagers do, but I really want to understand it. And that set me on the path to study music. I didn't make it to the conservatory, but they said, you come back after a year, you need to have some basic knowledge about music and chords and scales and that kind of thing. And then I was exposed to all kinds of music of the world and the whole history of Western music and acoustics and so many different things. And I was quite happy to go deeper with that. And then after a few years, I realized I'm really interested in music around the world in different cultures. So that became a big part. But at the same time, when I moved to Amsterdam, I remember I lived in a very small place, and there was no room for a piano or anything. There was just no room for anything. So kind of by necessity, I started to use my voice. I didn't play any other instrument. So I started to play with my voice, imitate all kinds of music. And I was exposed to so much music at that time. This whole world kind of burst open for me. I was already curious before, but it became just much more, and I just enjoyed imitating everything. that's how I started to discover my voice and enjoy it. And from the very start on, it was playing, it was enjoying, it was experimenting, it was searching. That's what I continue to do nowadays.
哦，所以在老师的小时候是 teenager 是从乐器开始学，但是反而长大是因为没有空间，所以开始用自己的人生来做体验跟尝试。我觉得这个很酷诶，所以大家现在如果房间小的人没关系，你可以先从自己的声音开始，你也不用有一个地方摆什么电钢琴，或者有一把吉他都不用，因为人声就是最好的乐器，这个很酷。所以我有在看某一支老师的演讲的影片，好像你一开始探索你的声音的时候，光是2个音，所谓我们讲母音好了，你就探索了好几个月。然后，但是因为那个演讲里面后面我没有看到更细节老师的分享，我想要知道你在一开始探索自己的声音的时候，你发现了什么？为什么光是2个简单的母音，你就会唱了好几个月？
I had one basic question, which is, what is the color of sound? How can I understand the color of sound? Because your voice is different from my voice and from other men's and women's voices, and we recognize it very quickly, right? And instruments also. But if there's a voice, another voice, why is it that it sounds different? And why is it that vowels sound different? I know that, of course, oo, o, I change the shape of my mouth. I can understand that. But what is the information that my ear gets that tells me, if I close my eyes, like this is ooh, how do you know this? If you speak to someone on the phone, what is this information your ear gets? And color was just not enough for me. Or vowel, yes, there's a vowel ooh, there's a vowel aw. I wanted to know, why is it different? So I spent months going ooh, and at some point I hear na 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 na. There's tones changing. There is a harmony there, and the difference between ah and aw is 2 notes. It's the same note, but it's very subtle. Most people will not hear it. If you hear it now, you're probably like, well, I just hear ah, aw. But there is a melody or a chord, you could say, changing when we change from vowel to vowel. Well, that was like an answer to my question I've been thinking about for a long time, and then I've been practicing this with my voice for several months, and it was like, okay, of course. I knew there had to be something. So I was very happy to find that.
哦，我刚才听老师虽然唱简单的2个字，可是有一个很细小一个 high note 在上面，然后有一点点像口哨声音，我不知道大家会不会有听得到，听起来好像是老师借由很简单的2个音去发掘声音里面还有很多很多细小的这个解析度的放大的过程。我觉得应该要让大家更容易了解，老师可以小小示范一下所谓的这个 overtone， 可以感觉到有一个底层的声音跟一个 high notes 出来，去让我们的观众去感受一下 overtone 是什么，这样大家就可以听到那个小小的声音了。
So those are all those different notes that are present in the voice. When you speak, they're there. When I speak, they're there. When anyone speaks, they're there. But they're all there at the same time. And we can't hear them out. And in the vowels, they become a little bit stronger in this vowel or that vowel or that vowel. But it takes some effort then to filter them out, so to say, with your voice. And so you can hear them out. And then I started to learn to sing overtones and all kinds of different techniques of that. And then they can become very, very clear. Yeah.
所以这个前提就是要先听得到那个小小的那个声音。有可能我们其实平常日常生活中敲桌子啊，或者是讲话，应该都有很多层声音的元素在里面。所以我很好奇，老师第一次就是听到跟能够发出声音，听跟发出声音的关系是什么？在老师的观点
I think for me it's a little bit hard to give you an objective statement about that because I found this out by myself, and when I found it out I thought like, oh, if you are a bit patient and you spend some time doing this and I tell you how to do it, you can learn that. And I thought for a long time anyone can learn to sing overtones with a bit of patience. Now I know that anyone can learn to sing overtones, but you need a lot of patience. Some people really need quite a bit of time because not for everybody it's easy to hear it in your own voice, or to find the proper way to place your tongue and your jaw and whatever. But gradually I'm teaching people every year, and that gets better and better. And I think we all hear overtones anyway all the time. The brain knows it all very, very well. It just discards all this information because it's useless. So you need to train your hearing for that, and it's a loop. Your question is how does it relate hearing and making the sound? It is really a loop. It's going around and around and around. We're making sound, we're listening, and you kind of cut through that loop. You're kind of take a special position there, and you're saying like, I'm now going to, I don't know actually what my sound is, and I'm really going to listen. And you just go like, you do something very simple, and you ask yourself, what am I really hearing? And what am I feeling about that?
所以老师一开始也是曾经听到了一个 overtone， 所以开始觉得很酷，我要开始更钻研到里面吗？
Yeah, it answered my question of what is timbre, what is the color of sound. But then this other question came up, like, so then what are these other sounds? What are these overtones? And then I became obsessed with that question, and I'm still obsessed with that. This is my theme throughout all my kind of working life and my private life too. It's like, yeah, I'm exploring that all the time, thinking about that, and it's a little bit different question, of course. Timbre. You can change your timbre very easily. You can say ah, and you can say hey, right? You're making a different kind of timbre, a different color of sound. But then if you want to know the overtones, hear the overtones, yeah, that is more refined, more detailed, and it takes more time. Yeah.
我记得我第一次看到老师的那个 overtone 在做这个吟唱的影片的时候，我想说，人类的喉咙怎么可以同时发出不同的声音？因为我们通常都印象中是就只有一个音这样子，结果老师就可以出现好像有2-3个音的那种，然后变成自己一个和弦这样。然后我那个震撼还是因为我从小，而且我是合唱团的，然后我就从来没有听过这种声音，我就觉得哇，好酷哦。然后所以今天 近距离听到的时候，还那个震撼感更强，这样子，还有包含老师整个能量，就是随便然后就有那种震动感，我就觉得很酷，很希望大家有机会可以当面碰到老师的这个能量场，觉得很厉害。所以刚才老师说他探索所有声音的可能性，好像老师是一个世界旅行家这样，去到处去声音采集不同国家的传统的民族音乐，对不对？就是我也很好奇，为什么老师会开始做这个世界探寻的这个旅程？
I think there is something so unique in all these different traditions of the world. If you just look at Taiwan, if you think about all the Yenjumin that live here, and if you listen to all their music, and it's so different, it means that you travel a few kilometers or 50 or 100 kilometers, or you go from one tribe to another, and they, in history, they kind of developed their own unique sound, and you want to be different from other ethnic groups around you, and this is happening all over the world. So there is this huge difference, and that is so rich, that difference. And of course I like all kinds of popular music, or like rock music and jazz and classical music. I love all that stuff, but a lot of that stuff is created, especially nowadays, for media, with media, and it's all communicated all together. But these traditional musics, they developed to be different from everything around them, and that became so different. Like, I think Taiwan is a really, really good case, because you have it's a small country and there are so many different musics here. So I realized, that is such a great starting point and ending point, because you can go on forever searching for all these different musics. And for a musician, that's very interesting, because of the musical patterns. But I think also there is a different kind of personality, a different kind of mindset, a different view on human existence, encapsulated in these musics. And again, the Bunun people, they're very different from the Paiwan people, or the Rukai, or the Saisha. Develop themselves, their spiritual world, their ways of living, that also parallel, they developed their own music and their own rituals, and that also shapes their world. With music, you also shape your world, and you create a world with music. So that is so incredibly rich that I'm still learning new things, because there's so many people around the world, and it's incredible for me. Yeah.
我反而很好奇，各种研究到，比如说声音表演等等的，都是有什么博士、硕士学位，所以它应该是非常理论的。可是如果回到世界音乐或民族音乐的时候，它是没有任何乐理，或是没有任何应该要怎么做，它可能就是从最原始这一个民族它发出来的声音，或他们怎么沟通开始，这个转变是怎么来的？是怎么样从一个很学究的状态变到很自然的状态这样？
So, like I explained, it started already even before going to the conservatory. I had a sense that there are things that I intuitively understand, intuitively want to do, and there is this knowledge that I want to have, and I want to balance between that. So I thought researching music is a very fascinating thing to do. There is a practical side to it, and there is a theoretical side to it, and many kinds of sides, many practical sides, many theoretical sides. So they constantly, it's going back and forth all the time. It's another kind of loop. So in terms of this overtone singing, for example, I was doing that, and the time came to choose a subject. What am I going to focus on for my studies? And then I thought, I can do this overtone singing. And I also heard throat singers from Central Asia, from North Asia, from Tuva, from Mongolia, and I started to practice that. And I could do that to some extent. And I thought, I can, talk to these people and learn more, because I can also sing that. So then I went there in 1993. I went to Siberia to study that music. But kind of parallel also, I did my own kind of Western style overtone singing, which is what you just heard. That's not traditional, and it's got nothing to do with throat singing in Siberia. It's a completely different thing. So that was for a long time kind of parallel, and I was studying throat singing
the same time.
And that was kind of my thesis, and and then there was my own interest as an overtone singer and more Western music. But I also look into the history of that. Anyway, these things have constantly been going around, and sometimes more focus on the theory or the history. Sometimes more spending really more time on the practice. So when I got my PhD, this was a very interesting program because there was the first time a chance to put the art practice and the scientific side of it on an equal footing. That was quite new at that time. In the 2005, I started my PhD, and until then, artists could never get a PhD with their artwork. But from that moment on, they said, well, let's try this out. The kind of scientific world, the academic community said, you can come in with your expertise as a composer, as a photographer, as a letter designer, as a musician, and speak from your experience as an artist, and bring that special knowledge that you have into our academic discourse. So that was for me a very interesting chance to really put them together. Yeah.
听老师讲过呢，我就发现，如果一般麻瓜就会想要去分别出来哦，很学术跟很身体的，可是老师是就好像他创那个字一样，就是 Fusica about fusion, all combined together the same time.
Yeah, there's fusion too. That's right.
Yeah,
yes.
Fusion.
Yeah.
对，所以是一个很融合的过程。因为我自己分享我的经历，就是我有去上老师的声音瑜伽课。平常我是一直用脑袋的人，然后我很少去上身体的课程。然后老师的课程是里面有声音跟身体的互动。结果我上完课之后，我发觉这个课会让我的脑袋直接 off 掉，它会让我回到我的身体。所以那个是我活了这么长久以来第一次体验到，哇，原来人的身体就已经足够体验一切自然啊声音的东西。有时候是可以放掉脑袋的，或是你可以随时去找回它的平衡，什么时候是脑袋多，什么时候是身体多。就我觉得对我来说是新的领域，然后我也觉得很适合分享给大家。然后今天在跟老师讨论的过程中，也觉得老师是把它融合在一起的。你不一定要去分头脑或身体，然后它是在一起，然后随时都可以互相再叠加上去啊，或者互相影响的。所以我觉得很有趣。